Fungal toxin, Brefeldin A and Botox treatments.
Brefeldin A is a small hydrophobic compound that is produced by a toxic fungi, which is Penicillium brefeldinum, and this has dramatic effects on mammalian cells. It also inhibits the protein transport from the endoplasmic reticulum to the Golgi complex. Um, by looking at figure 1, you can see that the BFA, which is also the Brefeldin A, Um, once that is introduced to um, a system, it will inhibit the protein traffic going upstream from the endoplasmic reticulum to the Golgi apparatus. This is this is prohibiting the protein traffic from going from ER to the Golgi. The KDL receptor is Um, they are receptors that initiate the mechanism by which proteins are transported from the Golgi to the ER. It is also an important protein that recovers escaped ER proteins that bear a C terminal. And I was looking up the KDL, and the system is lysine, aspartic acid, glutamic acid, and leucine. So, how fungal toxin Brefeldin A affects the retrieval of the KDEL tagged proteins. So each Golgi stacks has two faces. Each protein contains a tag that targets specific proteins to a transport vesicle. There is also a Golgi compartment that is close to the ER, which is called the CGN, or the cis-Golgi network. This is where proteins from the ER arrive to attach to the membranes of the CGN. So when the fungal toxin Brefeldin A is introduced, it disintegrates the Golgi complex, which results in there being no transportation from the ER. So nothing is being transferred from the ER to the Golgi complex because Brefeldin A disintegrated the Golgi. And this figure is just showing a cis face of a cis Golgi network. So now I'm going to talk about Botox. Botox is a protein made from botulinum toxin, which is from a bacterium, Clostridium botulinum, that produces that toxin to make Botox. This is the same toxin that causes botulism. Botox is a toxin, but when people or doctors use it correctly and in small doses, it can have several medical and cosmetic uses. This is also a drug that can weaken or paralyze muscles, and you can see that in figure 2 on how it can paralyze your muscle, because you see she has wrinkles on her forehead and her eyes, and then she's smiling and doing the same face in the next one, and her wrinkles are gone around her eyes, and it makes her look younger. This can also be used to take wrinkles away, but it can also treat cross eyes, eyelid spasms, excessive sweating, and some bladder disorders. I know some people inject Botox in their armpits to counteract how much sweating that they have. So how can low concentrations of Botox be used in the treatment of wrinkles and muscle spasms? So Botox basically prevents the release of acetylcholine, which will prevent the concentration of muscle cells, the contraction of muscle cells. Therefore, that's how it can be used to treat muscle spasms. It also appears to lessen the look of wrinkles in the face as well, as you saw on the previous slide. And so, in this figure, you can see that the acetylcholine gets released and your muscle cells can contract. But when you add the Botox toxin into the cell, it prevents the release of the acetylcholine, which then has the muscles cannot contract anymore. If you use Botox in high concentrations, this is very toxic, and it would relax all your muscles and organs and would cause death.